I feel sometimes, oh, it looks like this broadcast was deleted on LinkedIn. Fine by me. Still, can I remove it then? Remove it, fine.
Not right now. I'll do it later.
It's not letting me start the show. So there we go.
Oh, but it's live.
Show. It was live and a half. I don't know. Dance monkeys. You know, I always feel like the worst flight attendant ever when we like the guests so much that we talk to them instead of actually telling what we're supposed to be telling them. You know, they give you those warnings at the beginning of flights on purpose, like, you know, you can't use your computer, can't like use a popcorn machine right now, and like they say all this stuff for like a reason, and meanwhile we're not doing that. So
well, do you know people don't listen to that anyway, just so you know, like most people on the flight, if a thing actually happened and the masks fell down, they'd be like, because they weren't listening.
I bet show guests would feel that way though. Hey, everybody, by the way, who's here, remember that we don't see you unless you leave a comment. So you get no credit for your little drive-by pop-in unless you just say hi like Steve Garfield.
Hi, Steve Garfield. SteveGarfield.com. So funny follow-up, Steve Garfield and his wife Carol ran into the Daughters of St. Paul in Jamaica Plain while they were out for a walk. And they were like, hey, how was the sausage? Because we sent Johnsonville sausages to Sister Ann Flanagan, former guest, so that she could cook for the Daughters of St. Paul community. And apparently her sausage pizzas were like a big hit. But so they all got a kick out of it. And they laughed, and the nuns blessed Steve and his wife before they went on their way. So
I feel like you're halfway to hell if you yell out to a bunch of nuns, how was the sausage?
I know, right? That's what I thought. But
my dad's here. Scott Woodard's here.
But apparently they took it well. So
we have Sharron Paul, and I dragged her into this mess because she's a comedian, producer, funny person overall, has lots of gigs going on at the same time, like everyone does to kind of make their world float. And she's got so much to tell us. We have so much to get done.
One of the comedy producers for Impractical Jokers on True TV. And co-host of Cheap Date Comedy Show, but she's had like a million D jobs. So we'll talk to her about that. Lots and lots and lots of side hustles.
Lots of side hustles.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
Let's get her out here. I feel like we have so much to talk
I'm
about.
call Sharron out, but I have this feeling that every time she sees one of our cool little graphics and stuff, she's like, I had no idea that this pedestrian little shitty show was going to have actual graphics and transitions and things like that. I think that's the first question I'm going to ask her. Hey, look,
that's fair.
It's former guest Karen Putz. It is former mother Diane Brogan.
She's still your mother. Cut that out.
Say that, but Leslie.
Oh no, a yellow card to myself.
How that might have
say
fallen.
You could do a show just like this, but you have to bring your own mom.
Yeah.
And your own dad.
Have my mom on your show unless you're
StreamYard, stevebrogan.me/StreamYard. It makes it super easy to show cool show graphics, have an opener, but you do need to bring your own mom.
That's really true. I'm glad you remember to do things like ads before we bring our guests out, because I'm not going to. But the minute Sharron writes a book, she can put it on pub-site.com. You know how easy it is to put a site up there?
I do, actually. It's crazy easy. Yeah, they've got pre-programmed in all the things you need to promote yourself as an author, to promote your appearances, your book. It's all ready for you to totally customize your own website in like minutes. It's so crazy easy.
And even helps you work with your social media.
Pub-site.com. Go get yourself a website. I did a show with my mom. You did, Steve.
You sure did. Millie Garfield. Oh, I can't open it. That's such a great show. Listen, one other thing about PubSite is that it's made by some total vagabonds that are here today and gone tomorrow. So you should know that.
No, FSB Associates is the best book publicity firm around. They've been in business 25 years. So if you need a website for your book,
Sharron.
Go get it. I know, right?
I'm bringing her out here because we need to have a show. Sharron Paul, hello.
Good morning.
Those books behind you, did you write any of them? Because I feel like you could.
No, I should publish. I'm thinking about starting some novels. Right now I'm focusing on scripts and things, but I feel like books are the next frontier for me.
Wow. That seems like you have it in reverse order, right? Because once I write a book, I always think, I wish someone would buy the rights to this, but I write business books, so they don't make a lot of movies out of those.
Trust Agents, the series. No, happens.
I just imagine CNBC having a spin-off network that has like finance-based Lifetime style movies.
Right. And I would have Ice-T play me. I think that would be pretty good.
Tune in tomorrow.
We have a very similar energy, a very similar demeanor, and I think that when he gets in that Ice-T, not Cube, T, he can come off Spoo. He's done a lot of years as Finn. He can move.
Exactly. Okay. I feel like he has the range. He could totally be you.
I really think so.
All right, I'm staying out of this. Do you want me to just? Okay. Nope.
So I found you. I forget how I found you. I think I was probably poaching people from Nikki Porche again. Anybody she follows, I want to follow. And I saw that you had this little credit about doing a show that I have watched probably every episode of. But then I saw that you were doing your own work, and then I had to go digging, and I had to go find you on some YouTube and stuff like that. You, at some point in your life, said, you know what I should also do besides all the things I'm doing? I should probably get into the funny business somehow. What makes you think that? What's the origin story that says, I think I should do stuff with weird, funny people?
That was funny because, like I said, I've had many jobs, but one day I had left a job that I was unhappy with, and I had a lot of free time. And so I started going to a show at, what was the UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in Chelsea, in Manhattan. And it was an 11 p.m. show on Monday nights. And you can only do that sort of thing if you don't have a job. Right. So I would go to this show every single Monday. The show was called Whiplash. And I became what was known as the president of the audience at the time. And it became a bit with the host, Leo Allen. And every week he would give me gifts. It was the same gifts every week. It was a bottle of sake, the current edition of The Economist magazine, and a baseball that had been signed by Lou Gehrig. And he would write me these really absurd messages and read them to the crowd every single week. And this thing went on for years, literally years, every Monday at 11 p.m. And the thing is, I would go to that show, I'd see amazing comics every week, and then, go hang out at the bar after. And a lot of comedians would just be like, okay, so when are you going to start doing this? And I had zero interest in doing comedy until I was literally just peer pressured into it. And, sure, why not? Like, peer pressure hadn't ever really been like a weakness for me. I'm like, I feel like I can think for myself easily, and I'm not easily swayed. But I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I made a deal with myself and the comic who was really pushing me. And I said, look, I'll do one open mic. If I get laughs and I don't die, I'll do this. I got laughs. I didn't die. Here I am 10 years later.
Do you remember
the signed baseballs or something? They're like, all right, guy, we need you to laugh tonight. So here's a Lou Gehrig signed baseball. Really, look it up.
Do you remember the first joke you hit with?
Not verbatim, but it was about going to a wedding. Like, it was just a wedding that was like very prim and proper and conservative and religious. There was no music. And while the Reverend was saying grace over the food, he literally thanked God that everyone there was heterosexual. And I just thought, I was like, well, that is a leap of faith. That is a huge assumption, sir. That's amazing. I was like, this man just took a jackhammer to the rainbow. I don't understand where this came from.
Yeah.
It was
wow.
odd. And it was just the most uncomfortable thing. And I'm just like, oh, everyone's cool with this? Just me? Like, this is weird. But yeah, like, just that experience I like had to write about in that moment. And actually, I don't think I ever did that bit again. It was literally just my first bit at the open mic, never to be touched again, but it was such an odd experience.
Wow.
Especially because like probably a quarter of the people in there were looking at their shoes like, oh God, I hope he doesn't know.
Right? I was just like, the odds. Let's say it was like 50 people there. There's a good chance at least 5 were just like, nah.
Oh, 100% of them were like, I don't know, I did some stuff like in college. Oh no.
That day we don't talk about much.
Do I have to leave?
I feel like people who are funny and people who are comedians, number one, that's two different people. Because people who are
Potentially.
comedians, there's a lot of work to it. There's a lot of writing. People don't ever think about that. They just think you just wander onto the stage. You're like, I think I'll be funny today. And some people can do that a couple times at an open mic, but there's work to it. And I feel like very similar to being an author. I've written 9 books. I'm on my 10th. People go, I could write a book. And I'm like, yes, because you've had a typewriter in front of you. But, that's not really the same. What made you make that jump? What made you say, I'm going to do this? And then what makes you decide how far you're going to take it? Because I don't even know I don't know what your intentions are, young lady.
I went with it because it was like literally it was fun. I wanted the joy of it. And the fact that I proved to myself, never say never, because for years I was just like, I could never be a stand-up comedian. I was like, I can't finish stories. I'm like, I don't tell jokes. That's not my thing. Though I'd always been a performer and a host and things. I've been emceeing events since I was 5 years old. So being on stage was not unfamiliar to me.
Was it like you set up your stuffed animals, or is this like real event?
No, like real events and things. The thing is, like I went to a small private school, but from literally kindergarten on, I was always the one emceeing and in charge of my class assemblies. Like each grade had 2 a year. I was always doing those. I was in the choir. I was in a dance troupe. In high school, I did like oratory competitions, like things like that. Like I was just always presenting and talking and hosting, and it's just and performing in one way or another.
On stage.
Yeah. So that's why it wasn't foreign to me. I don't fear public speaking, because I think some people get into comedy after never having to have dealt with public speaking previously, and that's why it's like an even like scarier endeavor.
It's different too. I mean, the emceeing, you still are kind of able to hide a little behind a shield. Like what's the worst? The worst you're going to do is like John Travolta absolutely killing Idina Menzel's name or whatever. Like that's the worst thing you're going to do.
Adele
Right.
Right. And he had the weirdest reason why he said he did that, but that's like a 5-year-old bit now. But the thought I was having was that, but you can still kind of hide a little bit. So that difference between jumping to the center stage, are you going to keep going with that, do you think? I mean, I know you're surrounded by it enough that the odds. Does that make you more think you can do this because you seem to have like that kind of personality? Or does that make you like, I better keep having a plan B here? What do you think?
I don't see anything wrong with a plan B. Like I'm still definitely going to strive for the things that I want with plan A. But I do like the safety of an alternative. I'm not necessarily going to take that leap without the safety net, even though it is tempting at times. I love entertainment overall. So I feel like this is something I will definitely stick with, regardless, like no matter what facet of it I'm involved in.
What's the most jobs you've ever had at one time?
At one time? That's tough to say because a lot of stuff I was doing was literally on a gig basis, but I've probably never had more than like jobs, like more than 3 at one time.
Wow, still a lot. What's the weirdest gig you ever had to do?
One of my favorites that I have spoken about on other shows, but I love it because it was so absurd. Someone just said I could pull a Steve Harvey. I'm like, that's my goal. I want to be like the next Nick Cannon, Ryan Seacrest. I just want all the jobs. Nice. all the shows, all the jobs, multimedia mogul. This one woman hired me to carry her cat down the stairs, like from her apartment to her car. And I thought it was very strange. This woman, it was a wealthy woman on the Upper East Side. She was a young woman. She lived on like a 4th floor walk up. And I was just like, this is so strange. I didn't ask any questions. I was like, this is what this woman paid me to do. I'm going to grab the cat. I'll take it to the car and then I'm going home.
A carrier, or you just have to carry the cat?
I'm in a carrier.
Okay. I was going to say, you want to get like hair on her, but that doesn't make sense then if there's a carrier involved.
Right. And also I'm like, it's her own cat. If she gets hair on her, it's going to happen.
I know.
But when I got there, she explained to me why she had just recently gotten in vitro and she wasn't supposed to lift anything more than 10 pounds.
Okay.
And like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But then I was like, oh no, this poor lady is about to have a baby and she doesn't have any friends or neighbors or anything. Like she had to hire a stranger from Brooklyn to carry her cat down this. But not just that, but like I walked into her apartment and we're talking, this was probably, I mean, this was within the last decade. This is probably around 2013-ish, maybe somewhere between 2011 and 2013. This woman's apartment, like wallpapered, floor to ceiling, every wall, memorabilia everywhere of the Spice Girls
Oh,
in the 20-teens. And I'm just
wow.
like, I mean, this woman was not Baby Spice. Like I did not understand. I was blown away by that.
And she's
The only person I know
creating.
with that fan level is Emma Stone, but I can't see her spitting out a baby because she's like 9 pounds.
Wait, where is that yellow card? I gotta go
That's
get
an
it.
intense gig.
Hey, right there.
Yellow card Brogan. What else is new?
But I also felt like I was like a weird cat courier service. I kept getting similar gigs where I was like escorting people's cats to different places.
It's word of mouth.
Yeah, exactly. There were like 3 different instances after that where I was escorting a cat like across town or like some borough stuff. Like I picked up another cat on the Upper West Side that I had to get to Long Island. There was one where someone like got me a black car to go pick up their cat in Williamsburg and bring it to them in the East Village. And the thing is, I was getting paid by the hour, and I got to the location, and the cat managed to cut a hole in the cat sitter's box spring and hide like inside the bed. And it took them a while to get it out. And she kept apologizing to me and apologizing. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. In the back of my head, I'm like, again, I get paid by the hour. This cat my whole day. This is fine.
Wow.
I just have to go there. These have to be white people. This has to be white people.
Those are your factual words, not mine.
Yeah. Your factual words.
Can you go take my cat from Williamsburg to the? Oh.
What was the cat doing in Williamsburg? Did it have a gig? Like why?
I think the owner had been out of town and had just left it with a friend for however long they were. But then I had to be out of the house that day because the cat sitter's mom was coming and had a cat allergy. So she also like had to do a deep clean once I was out of her house, and just like these people are living intense lives.
That's a good friend. I would have just opened the door and waited and been like, I don't know, cat went away. It happens.
It's a shame. Now there's one on the premises. Hey, Naz. So listen, I want to get to Impractical Jokers for a second. I don't want to give them too much time because it's just one of the things you've done and do. It can't be as fun as anyone would try to pretend to imagine. Like it has to be really tricky, right? Like you're going around getting signatures or something. Like what does a producer do on that show? It's not fun, right?
Actually, well, there's a difference between the producers and the comedy producers on this show, and like kudos to producers who are out there getting the signatures and like telling the people and everything. What I do is a little different, and like we're a writer's room. We're helping create and like show bits and things, like the things that the Jokers actually do and get into.
So that's at least the fun part.
It's just as fun as you'd imagine because we get the fun stuff. We're lucky in that way.
Writing for people, I've never even vaguely pretended or imagined to do it. Although I once met a guy in Midtown of all places who said that his claim to fame was he sold a joke to a comedian. To which I had immediately thought, I did not realize you could sell a joke to a comedian. And it ended up being on some HBO special back when people had those. Is it weird and different trying to write for like a comedian? Because you have 4 right there and they have very different voices. Do you find that you could write one of them better than another one and that kind of a thing? Or how does that work?
I feel like, some of them I like just their sense of humor and their personality. I find it easier to vibe with. And sometimes I'll think of something absurd and I was like, oh, that sounds like this one. So I'm like, I'm going to do this for them because sometimes we write things that are specifically for an individual guy, or we just, you write a bunch of stuff and it's like, whichever guy likes this, hopefully he decides to run with it, So it can go either way. But yeah, it is hard not writing in your own voice. Though to be fair, I think I write enough in my own voice that I was hired for the gig in the first place, where they liked what I had to say, or my style of comedy in general. So that's why it's working out, thankfully.
Sharron, talk a little bit about 2021. I mean, we all know what happened this year. That didn't quite go right. So now what? And are you still kind of in a lay low and see kind of mindset, or are you champing at the bit to get out and attack someplace, or what's your mindset about it?
Like as far as live performance is concerned,
everything, anything. I
want
to know about your whole date book, your calendar, cheap dating. Are we getting back to are you going to do a little bit of mask making out or anything?
Cheap dating.
As far as cheap date is concerned, I'm not rushing to get it back up until things are fine and that we gather without worries. I'm not bringing that back a minute earlier. So I know people are still doing live shows right now in the city, and I'm just all right, as long as you guys feel like you're being safe, that's cool. I realize that is also not for me. I'm not taking it
smart. Think about it. You never have to see them again, probably.
I'm just a lot of open slots on those open mics all of a sudden.
Oh no! But yeah, I've been very cautious, because I am a caregiver for someone who is high risk. So I try to not do anything that is unnecessary in my eyes. Not to say that it's not necessary for them. If that's what's keeping them afloat and sane, I get it. But I'm just no, I have to be very careful with how I move. But for 2021, if the vaccine gets to everyone it needs to get to and we can gather again, sure, cheap date is back. I'll do all the live shows in the world. I'd love to. I love working at Impractical Jokers. Hopefully I continue to throughout 2021. I've been writing a lot. So I hope to, finish a movie script. I wrote a sitcom with some friends. We're also trying to pivot that same story into a feature and see which one may work better, or maybe feature to spin off into a series. I think that would be the ultimate goal. So like you mentioned earlier, I don't know, maybe a streaming service might be into it, or a network, that HBO we mentioned before.
Never heard of them.
Quibi's off the table, just so you know. You should probably put Quibi off of your spreadsheet.
I know. I had to cross that out. Just X it out real big.
They had half of their name right. It's Qui. It's gone already.
I feel like Quibi could have had a longer run if people were commuting.
That's so true.
It was released at the absolute worst possible time for what it was.
What other side hustles have you had? Like either at once, or what was your weirdest combo? I guess.
Weirdest combo.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, maybe picking up kindergartner kids after school, and also getting people's whips cleaned. I don't know.
I feel like that doesn't sound too far off, honestly. I do still sell sex toys at thenastymerican.com. That is right. If you want to buy some goodies, if you need whips and whip cleaner, you can get it there.
Nice to know.
Let's see. I used to work I worked with kids for a very long time, in so many different capacities. One of my first gigs as a teenager, I was a camp counselor, a babysitter, a tutor, and then I went on to work in after-school programs. I worked in daycare, just everything you could do with little kids. I was doing that. Even in performing, I do stand up, but then I also do some sketch. I do improv if I'm asked to. My friend Gary Genoya has this great show that's called Lost Episodes of Saved by the Bell. I was there. That was a very, very fun improvised show. It was improvised Lost Episodes of Saved by the Bell. Very fun. Let's see. What else? I've done so much pet sitting in my life. Yes, thenastymerican.com. Thank you. So
I'm already on it. I'm heading down the powerful toys for powerful women aisle now. with my
Stop. We're
cart.
talking about the side gigs. Get the head.
Me too.
Chris is looking for a new job. He wants to be a powerful toy for powerful women.
That's right.
A 5-hour dom.
Right. Looks like our time here is up. Take off that horse mask now, mister.
I'm gonna need that back for my next job.
I've got a kid's birthday party next, so
I used to work for a junk car company. Like I used to call people and like set up their junk cars getting picked up. Yeah, so like just like things like, and then I also worked for like the bootleg Life Alert for a year or so.
It was like that Fallen and Can't Get Up, but like the Kmart version
Like
or something.
like the off-brand I've fallen and can't get up.
Oh man, that's like when you don't really love grandma, but
so
you feel like
what's the phone call like that one go? Like she's like, I've fallen and I can't go. Like, well, didn't that suck?
that's too bad.
You know, like, well,
But
take
if
a
you
photo.
need somebody to carry your cat down the stairs.
I'm your girl. And the thing is, like, it was weird because with that job, my first week on the job, I was still in training, and because I worked customer service at that job, and so I would like help people set it up. Like I would help them test their system and everything. And this one woman called, and she was trying to set it up, but while she was trying to set it up, she started having heart pains.
Oh
Like
no.
And I'm just like, oh, okay, I am very new. So what I ended up doing was talking her, like just keeping her on the phone. So I was like, this woman is having like a health emergency. I'm not going to tell her that this old woman who's alone how to set up technology right now. So I kept her on the phone while having another coworker call 911 for her. And then I stayed on the line with her until the paramedics arrived. So I was just like, okay, that's not necessarily what you guys were training me for, but this worked. We saved her life in one way. She, I don't know if she ever successfully set up the thing, but I mean,
well, that's the important part.
Having the system helped in the long run. So
I feel like you could go back and help her.
Back from Williamsburg. That's what I want.
Listen, you can help her out a little further. You can go back with the Nasty American and say, look, I can help keep that ticker ticking. You know?
Yeah.
It's very important. Yeah. Very important for your cardio health. Absolutely.
Get over there.
So I have a almost related question. Are you a journaling type of person? Like, does this all land in some notebooks? Like, do you have to, how do you store up all of these experiences and these ideas?
I mean, I do tweet a lot. Like, I wish I journaled more. I literally have bought myself so many like guided journals with with writing prompts and things. And I thought that I was going to take such a deep dive into them in 2020 while I was home. No, that didn't happen. It's what I wanted, and it still hasn't happened. I also just yesterday got this couples journal for me and my boyfriend. And so I'm like hoping that'll inspire the both of us to do it.
Oh.
How's that going so far?
I mean, we literally just got it yesterday, and like,
okay.
we weren't writing, but we were discussing the prompts at the very least. Like we were just like, oh, how do we feel about this, and we were talking things out. And mind you, we were just supposed to be taking like a cursory glance through it, but then we ended up sitting and talking about things for like a very long time. And so I was just like, writing these things, but I'm glad we've had this discussion.
Hi, Corky.
So many books like that journals I bought because they were pretty or they had an interesting idea for prompts, and they don't ever get used. Maybe I write in them once and then like never ever again.
I have a new model to that, which is the least attractive one I could find. So I've got this like, you know, that color like mint or something.
That's like hospital green.
My kitchen backsplash is this color. That's all I can tell you. And
hospital green.
Pretty much.
Now we know Chris is institutionalized.
Very accurate. So Naz, I feel like Naz used some different kind of word by mistake where he said I used to work as a kid party animator in Miami, and then he talks about wearing a Big Bird costume. I don't know if he means like he went as like the animals, like the creatures or something. Because if he's a kid party animator, that's a shit job.
Well, maybe that's like to get the kids, make the kids like stand up and dance around and be happy.
So maybe he's
draw the kid in the next frame. Draw the kid in the next frame. Draw the kid disappointed because there's no toys for him.
How do you hold a pencil in the Big Bird costume? I mean, I have questions.
Thank you, Women's Leadership Live. That was a job I used to want. I used to want a job as like a not a party promoter, the party the people who literally get paid to just amp up people at parties.
Yeah, that's what I think you did.
Yeah. My best friend had one of those at her Sweet 16, and I was just like, I could do this. I go to parties for free. Are you kidding me? Why isn't someone paying me to do this?
At her Sweet 16?
Yeah.
I think of this as like a thing that, like, I don't know, Jay-Z has, at the 2020 club. I don't think of this as like 16-year-old kid. All right, who's ready to get down with Monica? He's got a microphone.
I mean, think about it. Remember, on MTV, my Super Sweet 16 was a hit show. People go all out for Sweet 16.
Oh, not me. I would give my kid $1,000 to not have a party and then some. Like, I've tried. When they were little, I tried that. I was like, for real though, I'll give you like $1,000 in your bank account right now if you just won't have a party.
That's so funny.
I don't like birthday parties.
That's funny. I had a Sweet 16, and what's funny is that I wasn't gonna have one. Like, one of my close friends had one. My birthday's in April. One of my closest friends had hers in December, and then my mom and my best friend's mom decided, okay, I guess we have to give them one. But then my mom had told me, she was like, listen, you can either have a Sweet 16 or you can go to Australia. Those were my options. And I think I'm smart. I chose Australia, and then she still threw me a Sweet 16. So I was like,
oh, nice. Win-win.
Here. That was like a great year.
You made the right choice. Sounds better than 2020. So what are you side gigging now? Like, what's the mix right now?
I mean, I have my regular government job. I have Impractical Jokers. I still take acting gigs. I've been able to like act from home. I shot a couple of PSAs for the New York City Human Rights Commission.
Nice.
It was fun. I literally got to like shoot that like in my dining room and on my front porch. My stoop porch. Who am I? I have a stoop. I live in Brooklyn. Like I've been auditioning for some other things. It's been fun. Like I've still been I did like early in quarantine when I wasn't working anywhere, I did a bunch of focus groups. Like that's not a gig, but it's, income, which is nice. I've been finding ways to still just small hustles here and there. Like I couldn't just, sit at home and do nothing and twiddle my thumbs. I was
like binge Netflix or something.
Yeah.
Journal, for example.
I could journal. But no, like I said, I have done a lot of writing for me, which I'm gonna consider it a gig because it's gonna pay off hopefully in 2021.
And if not,
right, with the
sex toys.
Yes, that too.
The manuscript and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
So talk a little bit about sort of dream projects, and the film is a dream project. Getting the chance to be your own personality. If someone came with the bag of money and verified that they had the bag of money, so they're not being too weird, what do they? How do they woo you? Like, what's the show? And you're gonna have the Sharron Paul show, and people are gonna lose their mind over it. What does that end up being like?
The Sharron Paul show. I mean, great title, very original.
Because I made that.
Yes.
I don't want you to feel too weird, but I'm that kind of smart.
So you have to give him executive producer credit now.
He's a consultant on the Sharron Paul show. Like I used to actually very much want to be a talk show host, and I feel like that is pivoting for me right now. In no small part to what the hell Ellen is going through at the moment.
Are you secretly mean?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not secretly mean.
And what's the problem?
No, I just think that's, it feels insane to just be thought of as like one of the nicest people in the world. And then all of a sudden everyone's just like, no. And I'm not saying that it's not true. I don't know. I don't know Ellen. I've never met Ellen. She could be Satan incarnate for all I know, but it's just, I find that whole thing fascinating. Same as Wendy Williams. Like I enjoy Wendy Williams, but I'm just like, I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Don't pretend to be the nicest person and then just don't.
No. That's
I tell everybody I'm not. They don't necessarily believe me, but I say it until later on. If they're like, "What? I thought you were nice." I'm like, I never said that.
I'm gonna say no. I don't. I didn't
sell sex toys for the nasty American and have people be like, "Wow, I thought she was so nice." What?
I heard she was a nun. That was a lie.
I mean, I think you're safe, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
Very true. Very true. Thank
but
you.
go ahead. So, what do you want to do now?
Oh, I mean, like I said, I've written a sitcom with my friends. I would love to I would love for that sitcom to make it to air. I would love to be a producer on it. I would love to star in it. And I would love for that show to have longevity. And I would love to produce other shows in that vein. Like I used to want something like I said, like Ellen or Wendy's career. And now I think I would like to be more of a Shonda Rhimes, or even have a similarity to like a Tyler Perry, because he is in most of his projects as well.
All of them, I feels like, right?
They were like years ago. I was just like, should I change the name of Cheap Date to Sharron Paul presents Sharron Paul's Cheap Date?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Because people go either because they've never heard of him and they're like, what's this about? White people. And then everybody else goes because it's the next Tyler Perry show. And they're like, I'm in, no matter what. We're going to go
like,
see what happens.
He has endless shows, endless movies. And it's just, there's so many. And like, I was talking to friends the other day. I was like, that man has shows everywhere. I'm like, he has a Nickelodeon sitcom right now. Like he has kids shows. He's doing it all.
Chris has lots of shows too.
Not like Tyler Perry. I haven't put on a dress yet, so I'm still, there's a barrier. Yet. They could be really comfy. I've been watching, what's that guy's name? Billy Porter. I watch him on those runways and I'm like, could do that.
I love his fashion, like more than anything. What a stylish man.
He's a stylish person. And I think
die in those dresses though.
I know that poor little Nas X can't really find home. But I like his style too. But anyway, I don't wear Wrangler jeans though, so I'm already out. Listen, we gotta not do that anymore. Your sitcom would replace what sitcom? Sorry, that sitcom's off the air. It was good. It had a good run. Now here comes Sharron Paul's new sitcom. What would yours be like?
I am not pushing anyone off the air at all. I feel like it's like the show that I have written with my friends. It's a hybrid of a few things. We had like our initial pitch was like it's about the girls that girls forgot. You remember that?
Yes.
It's about like women of color who were native New Yorkers, like the people you never saw on that show.
Oh, girls.
Yeah. And it's like I think there's one coming out soon-ish, but there hasn't been a show about what are now like millennial aged women, black women in New York City since Living Single.
Right.
And that was the case. We haven't seen that. So it would be maybe even kind of an updated Living Single or an East Coast Insecure. Like that's
I've been thinking Issa Rae this whole time. That's who I've been thinking about this whole time is Issa Rae. And I was thinking, she's moved on though. Like, she's fancy now. So you can
That's the thing. I love her career as well. Like I was a fan of her from the web series, like Awkward Black
show.
I loved Awkward Black Girls so much. It was such a funny show, so well written, so funny. And I was just like, I wanted the best for this girl. So like when I heard Insecure was coming out, I was so excited for her. And it's one of my favorite shows now. And like, she's going on and doing movies. Speaking of which, the last movie I saw in theaters before everything locked down was The Photograph, the movie that she starred in. And I loved it.
Oh, I did not see that one. It was good?
It's good. Yeah.
I saw The Gentleman. Was my last one. I can't remember. It's so long ago, I can barely remember.
Right. Like the last time I saw a movie in theaters was in February.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm.
Well, now we can watch Christopher Nolan get mad that we have to watch Tenet in the living room and then read that Robert Pattinson said, I don't know what I was doing. I didn't get any of that movie. I just shot what they told me to say. He just came out with that and he's like, I don't know. Wow. Anyway,
I saw that this morning and it cracked me up. I like the fact that Robert
so good.
Like, whatever, I showed up. I was there.
I did it.
I read the words.
I carried the cat down the stairs. My job is done.
All right, listen,
I hope that becomes
time.
a catchphrase for getting things done.
Totally.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?
I hadn't thought that far. I just pushed the button. But you know who I'm thinking it is? It's Harris, because he is just been going.
Nice.
Jonathan Harris is more chatty for Sharron Paul than he is for our video game guests. John wrote a book about video games and stuff. So,
oh, thank you, Jonathan.
And he's big in journaling, but only if the journal is unattractive.
Yeah, he has to have
and I get that. See, like I have this cute little one here. Can you? Yeah, my little like a boss one, and I take random notes. I don't journal in here. It's just like it's a lot of pages of like 3 to 6 words where I'm just jotting random ass notes to myself.
Avocado. Chipotle powder. You know. And what's weird is that's for the Nasty American site. All right.
People like Chipotle. Keep it spicy.
Right.
Yesterday's guest kept it spicy. Jose Castillo of thinkjose.com. So that's this whole thing is finding your flavor and being spicy. People think that you would kill as a talk show host. So
thank you. Maybe it's in the cards. Like I said, if I pull a Steve Harvey, then I just can't help it. One will fall into my lap.
You got peer pressured into comedy. You'll get peer pressured into hosting a talk show.
All right.
It can very well happen.
I bet you have way better name drops than me, but I'm going to do my Steve Harvey commentary just for a minute because I was invited to speak at this event in New York City for all the music and TV ad executives, and I was one of their speakers. And it was the very last speech of the day, the closing keynote. But what it really was is like I was between them and their liquor, so no one was in it. And so as I'm getting onto the set of whatever, and Steve Harvey shows up, they say to me, yeah, Steve Harvey's the host of the show, the MC, the host. So he's going to introduce you. So we need to take you back and meet Mr. Harvey. And I'm like, ha, ha, ha. Now, also, I dressed like every social media internet celebrity douche of the time, which was like a t-shirt, jeans, not so bad shoes, and kind of a sports coat, pretending to be, it was a good sports coat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever seen Steve Harvey's clothing. I don't know if you're even a little.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Of course I've seen Steve Harvey's clothing.
Steve Harvey's underpants cost $1,000 each. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And
why does he have more than one at a time? You mean like the ones he has at home? Okay. I'm with you now. I was like, why is he wearing multiple pairs of underwear?
Let me say that Steve Harvey does not buy his underwear in a bag. Like I do. So anyway,
it's like
I go to bed.
Underpants.
That's right. Hang on a minute, Mr. Harvey.
Like tailored underpants.
So I get backstage and he has an entourage because he's Steve Harvey. So it's not just Steve Harvey and like an assistant named Lonnie. There's like 75 people in his dressing room. The dressing room's made for like 3 people. So they're all dressed like they're Prince's video musicology, which is like a 20 or more year old reference now, but they're all dressed very nicely. Like we're going to go somewhere fancy after this, like church. And I still look like the douchiest douche. And so I shake Steve Harvey's hand and I'm like, I cannot believe I'm meeting this legend. And I have nothing. Like I'm trying to just like think of words to say and I got nothing.
You thought you were there for the cat. He's like, cat carrier's over there.
So sweet. And he goes, yes, you're some kind of a big deal, huh? I said, not at all. And he goes, well, you're the guy last month. So that's usually the big deal. I said, this is like the Rolling Stones playing in front of the White Stripes. This is not the way it's supposed to be. And he goes, huh, that's pretty good. And then he hits my arm and I'm like, I made Steve Harvey chortle, not even chuckle. Like,
he went, ha.
And then I gave him so there you go. Yeah.
At what point did you talk about his underwear? Like, I'm waiting for that. I thought you were gonna say no. Okay.
Have you ever felt funnier in your life?
Oh well, I felt so good. Like I think Steve Harvey chortled, and I was like, oh, that's all right.
That's always a great feeling. Like when someone funny laughs at your stuff and you're just like, I'm on top of the world. That was amazing.
All right, name drop that. Give us just any one name who's been in your club and seen your thing, and they know you're funny and they giggled a little, even if it was on a Zoom or something. What do you got? Who
like just on my show that thought it was funny.
Anything.
Anything. Because like I said, Cheap Date this August would have been 10 years. Our very first Christmas show we had on Reggie Watts back in 2010.
Wow.
The band leader for James Corden. I love him. I think he's so funny and so great. And he is like such a kind dude. And also like I wear all the hats for Cheap Date and I'm also, I guess, musical director of the show. So like I play music to like intro and walk people off the stage. And for him, I don't know if you guys had ever, like for people who've not had the blessing of seeing Reggie Watts live do his comedy, because it's musical comedy. Has a little machine that he sets up on stage. She, takes a moment before he starts his bits But it takes like maybe 30 seconds to a minute for him to do. So usually I just play a few seconds of music while people get on stage and get comfortable. So for Reggie, I had chosen Barbie Girl. I thought it was very fitting.
Perfect.
And instead of just like a few seconds of it, Reggie danced to the entire song, and it was absolutely magical. Like that was our Christmas miracle that year. It was beautiful.
Oh my gosh. He's a dream. I was actually just introducing my kids to him on Christmas Day, which is weird, but we watched his TED talk about disorienting people, and then I showed him his pop tech experience of working with a looper, because I can never get enough of looping. So it wasn't his stand-up, but it was his music, where of course you still laugh because he's Reggie Watts. So that's
he was doing that with his looper. It was him setting up the looper, and he danced to all of Barbie Girl. And I'm just like, this is the show. This is it. We don't even need anything more from him right now. This is fantastic.
Thank you and good night.
Yeah.
And one time I made Hannibal Buress literally like throw his head back in laughter, and like that brought me all the joy in the world.
I think Chris froze on us, but
he did.
Lucky for me, I know the question that we like to ask everybody. So what do you put in your backpack for success? The world is changing. Nothing is stable anymore. If you could fit just one thing in your backpack for success in 2021, what would you choose?
My backpack for success. Honestly, Chris just
lied. No, lie to me. I love when guests lie to me. A discount code for the nastyamerican.com. No, I'm just kidding. That's what I would put in my backpack.
I think I have one. Try BTHS. See if that works.
Okay, cool.
That one might work. A backpack for success. Honestly, I feel like we talked about them throughout. I feel like nothing is more helpful, honestly, than a good notebook. Like, I just feel like it's great to be able to sort your thoughts and just get them down in real time if you can. And there's a difference between typing and physically writing as well. I feel like manifesting is easier and better and feels more real when you're physically writing things down.
That's so true. Wow.
Who did we just had?
And I think you better put a pen in the backpack as well. We usually just allow one item, but I feel like.
Thank you. I can cheat a little bit with that pen.
Take it under advisement. Yeah.
Who did we say had the really? One of our guests just showed us the vision board just the other day, yesterday or the day before. We got to go on Instagram and look at the vision board. Somebody kind of famous.
Like, was it Issa Rae? Because she did an Instagram story of her really great vision board the other day.
And so ever since that, when you said manifest, I was like vision boards, and my head went there. So that's where it was.
Oh yeah, I do want to make a really good vision board within the next week. It's funny because I feel like I've been working on one for months. Like I have magazines, like stacks of magazines, old magazines, and I'm just like, I just cut stuff out periodically, and I like have it like in a little folder, and I'm like, I actually put it on the poster.
Glue it.
Yeah,
that glue stick.
Like, it's out of frame, but I'm like, I have two giant pieces of poster board sitting on top of my bookshelf waiting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a secret that's going to be in that journal that you got for your boyfriend. There's going to be an answer he's going to write. That's like, can't wait till she finishes that vision board. That's going to be one of his things in the journal.
And I can't wait for him to manifest that. Me finish the vision board.
I like it. I like it.
Did your grandmother have a vision board?
It's funny you should say that. My grandmother, this is early, like this is the 1980s, and vision boards just weren't a thing back then so much. But she had on her fridge, she had this little corner on her fridge, and it was next to a picture of Barry Manilow, Rob Halford from Judas Priest, and then the third one I thought was the weirdest of them all.